Do you think that there are different levels of narcissists?
I'm going to say no, because I think you either are or you aren't. And if you are able to self-reflect and watch your thoughts and come back and apologize, then no. I think there's levels of abuse, but I think you either are or you aren't. And if you can't own your stuff and become better, then I would say yes. I'm not a doctor. I can't prescribe. I think you either are or you aren't.
So you would say that no to levels, but you would say yes to different types?
Yes. No to levels, yes to different types.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. What do you think?
Well, when I first was thinking about that, I thought yes. But I think if you break it down, because levels and types are different words.
Yes.
So automatically I thought, oh yeah, well there's this type, this type, this type, this type. But we're saying levels.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would also classify as like more intense, less intense.
They're all going after the same thing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they just present it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's different levels.
Yeah.
From my experience.
But there are different types. So
definitely different types.
Yeah. Welcome back to our 6th episode.
Can you believe it's been 6?
No, I can't. That is 6 weeks.
It's been super fun. Thank you, everybody who is still listening.
Yeah. Despite 6 weeks. Oh, that's a long time. Wow.
That's a lot of words.
I know. A lot of commitment for both sides, for us and for our listeners. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. How's your week been?
Good.
What'd you think?
Good. Lots of random stuff. Sometimes I have super random weeks where I'm just doing whatever needs to be done that day.
So I feel like your week is consistently full of service. Literally every time I ask you, like, oh, what are you doing tomorrow? What are you blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, I'm doing this for this person. Oh, I'm doing this for this person. Oh, this person needs help. So I'm doing that. Good job.
I love my life. I love my world. I get to make my own schedule with foot zoning and all the things. So it makes it so that if you need a babysitter for Carson, I can do that.
Which you did last week.
Which I did. Which is so fun. We're going to the temple grandma or whatever, and I can adjust things as needed. I love my world.
Well, I know everyone appreciates your service. So thank you for being a better example for me that I need to serve more. Thanks.
And life's a little different now for me. I'm not punching a clock. I've had my time where I've worked 2 or 3 jobs for lots of years. And it's just different. My kids are raised and my income is different now and I can kind of set my own schedule. Great. How about your week?
It's been good. It's so warm out, so I've been loving that. I've been doing pickleball.
Nice. A wedding.
Yes, my friend's wedding, which was really fun. Oh, I'm really excited to go to Arizona this week.
Me too.
We're going to Gilbert, Arizona at the end of this weekend, so that will be really fun. We're actually going to film an episode there, so that will be fun.
I'm excited.
Be on the lookout for that. But that's really exciting. So you know how we have our little mom group for pickleball?
Yep.
So we also have one for hiking, a different one, and I have another one for volleyball.
Oh my gosh.
That's so fun. It really helps, it gets me through my week too, because sometimes they're hard and I just need a break and they need to be around other moms without babies. It's fun.
Love that.
I know. I really appreciate it. It's definitely a game changer for me, especially in the long weeks. So that's fun. I look forward to that. But yeah, everything else is great.
You started the pickleball. Did you start the volleyball and the hiking, or did you join those?
So I didn't start the volleyball. I got added into that one. And then same thing with the hike. One of my other friends added me into that one. So
love it.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah,
love it.
Good things are going on in my life. Just trying to stay outside and moving. So I'm trying to be happy. Anyway, good job. Yeah, thanks.
Your hair looks pretty good.
Thank you. I haven't washed it in so long. We have had this discussion on weekly. You can go how many days without washing your hair?
I go 7.
Yeah, that's insane. I go 1 day and it's already greasy. So, and it's fun. Look back moment. Yeah.
Is it gross that I go 7? It makes for
but you can't tell. If I went 7 days, you could tell.
I use baby powder.
I do that. And it's like I have dandruff.
We need to color baby powder for your dark hair.
I've seen people say cocoa powder and stuff, but my hair's black and that's kind of brown. Anyway, it just looks like a slimy skunk. Anyway, what are we talking about today for our 6th episode?
We are talking about the different types of narcissists. I research a lot on the different types of narcissists, and if you Google it, you can get so many different things, right? So I'm kind of looking for a common thing amongst all of them. And for the longest time, literally until like this morning, I was like, okay, so covert I've heard of, but I've also heard of vulnerable. I'm like, what is the difference? So, and this might be way wrong. I might just be talking smack. So if you don't like it, delete it. It's totally fine. So the way I kind of understood it is we have two main categories. So we have an overt, which is the traits that they have personally, you see. So maybe the ones that are more loud or based on their appearance, their characteristics that you see. Where a covert, it's hidden. So that's more of the vulnerable, the victims, those kind. I'm going to kind of sum it up and give the sum up at the beginning, and then we could talk through it, because it was making a little more sense in my head when I was going through it. You can find anywhere from 4 to, I don't even know how many different types of narcissists. I've seen like up to 8, but they can overlap and they kind of mix and mingle. So you might have somebody who is super quiet, appears to be calm, appears to be kind, but when they don't get their way, they now are in your face calling you names. Or you might have somebody who is in your face calling your names and more aggressive, but when they're called out on some things or you have a need or an opinion, now they become the victim or suicidal. All types just kind of mingle together and they will pull out the hat they need depending on what they're trying to get out of you and depending on what they can get out of you. Right?
So are you saying that it's either one or the other? They're either covert or they're overt?
No. I think maybe what we see them the majority of the time might be either covert or overt. So somebody that I'm going to say the outside public looks at them and is like, oh, he's such a nice guy. He's just super kind, pretty quiet, pretty calm. But when he's not getting his way, that's when the overt characteristics come out. So I think they are all of the above. All the different times we'll go through today, at any time, they can have that trait. So they're never just one or the other. So when I was going into my last marriage, and I didn't realize there were different types, I just knew this type, which was more of the overt, right? So when I met my last husband, quiet, calm, I'm like, oh, wow, he's not, because he's not this. Then over time, I realized he actually was. He just presented himself differently. Does that make sense? It's super confusing knowing all the different types, but
it's just scary that they can be one thing and then flip a switch and then the opposite. So of course, I keep mixing my head. Overt is not hidden, right?
It's outward,
and then covert is hidden. Mm-hmm. So then for your circumstance, going from a overt narcissist, then of course it's going to seem so much better going to a covert because, they don't physically hurt me or they don't yell. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry that happened to you.
And you miss it.
Yeah.
Why? I just knew what I knew. That's why it's super important to get information. And if you question or wonder if you're in an abusive situation, to just really start questioning and looking and getting as much information as possible to then decide what exactly is that you're dealing with.
So what was your first sign? Because the covert, they're sneaky and tricky. So what was the first thing that kind of raised your hackles? Not that you're a dog. What was it? What's it called? Like raised your flags. What am I trying to say? You know what I mean?
Yes. I don't know what the word is, but I know what you mean. I knew how I felt. So I remember saying, I know what I'm feeling. I'm at the bottom of the pile. I am worthless. Our plans are always being canceled or changed. I am not important here, period, across the board. It doesn't matter what it is. I am at the bottom of the pile. Mm-hmm. And I knew I was feeling the same, but I didn't know what it was. And it wasn't that long ago. I was turning 50. I just gave my age. I'm old. It was like 3.5, 4 years ago. I was getting ready to download something to listen to on an airplane for the ride home. And it had been a classic trip that had been ruined before, all the things. And I remember thinking, okay, what is this? If I know what you are, I know what to do with you. Why do I feel this way? I don't know what is going on because I am feeling so worthless and so ugly, and comments made about my hair and about my clothes. And everything about me was just, I felt icky.
Dehumanizing right there.
Beyond. And I'm like, what is this? And I got on my Audible and the little like free sample books that come across the top. Kid you not, the very first one said covert narcissist. And I thought, what the heck is a covert narcissist? I had never heard that before in my life. I knew classic, and I had lived that for a lot of years, and I could spot that out just by somebody literally having a conversation within minutes. I could pick it out. I thought, what covert? And I started downloading all these books to listen to, and the whole flight home, I'm like, check, always the victim, always sick, passive, the comments, make them to be a joke when you say something about it, flipping everything back onto you, which is classic for all of them, but they do it in a very passive way. You're too sensitive. So the whole flight home, I realized, and my first thought was, holy crap, I did it again. I could not believe I did it again. What the heck? How did I miss it? And so then that's when I really started learning more about all the different types. And then at that point, I could step back and look at all the different people in my world and to be able to go, good for me, bad for me, good situations, bad situations, or what are their real intents. Yeah. And it was not that. It was like 4 years ago. And I was sick because that really sucks to have to say, did it again. That was fun. And then to look back over the past 8 years, and once you see it, you don't unsee it. And to be able to realize, yeah, I had been played even when we were dating, and to be able to see my boundaries. So I had none then. I mean, the comments of, my hair or my clothes or different things started when we were dating. At what point did I decide that I would change and make myself small to make somebody else feel okay? That's when I realized, oh, wow, I've got some stuff here. I've got to figure this out, because we should never, ever negotiate who we are. Ever.
Not for anyone. I'm so sorry. That was really hard to go through.
I've learned a lot. And now we're here sharing it. So it's okay. I'm okay with it. I don't know a lot, but I do know a good chunk from experience alone. And I would love to be able to just help somebody understand and figure out what to do with it. Because it's hard. Yeah. And it paralyzes you. You don't live it. We are not put here to have a life like that.
No.
At all. We have the purpose. We need to find it.
Going back to what you said, that once you see it, you can't unsee it. I have it all the time when I think of my childhood and what my mom or dad did or said, and then putting the pieces together, like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Yeah. So,
and it's hard because you question and doubt everything, which really sucks. But you question and doubt everything, which, I guess we should be questioning anyway. We learn to not question. It's just a journey. It's a journey to find your tribe and your people that literally, truly love you as you are and accept you as you are, and to know what to do with the rest, and to make sure you're loving and accepting people as they are. It goes both ways. And that's what we're here to do. And to make a difference and to do some good.
Yeah. So hopefully that kind of breaks it down a little bit for anyone who thinks they might be dealing with a narcissist. So we learned the difference between covert and overt. So let's deep dive into some of the types that we picked out. So the first one that we've talked about is the grandiose narcissist. How would you break grandiose narcissist down?
When I think of the grandiose ones, they are just ones that think that they are great and grand, and they're going to make sure everybody around knows it.
It's in the name.
Look at all my stuff. Look at me.
Look at all my wisdom. Look at all my past experiences.
Yeah. And all my cars and all my homes. And I am so smart and I am so good.
Very gaudy, arrogant, I would say.
Yep.
I know for me in my life, that was completely my dad. He's a very smart person, and he was always a leader at his job. As a firefighter, he was fire chief, so he was used to that power and control over them. But yeah, he always had that leadership. And so once he retired, I think it was hard for him to get used to not being the main honcho,
Yeah.
But even then, he would say oh, well, I've done this, this, and this in my past, kind of look at me. So it's just interesting because I never thought of that when I was younger. Just oh, he's so cool. He's done this and this. That's amazing. Yeah. And that's great because you're a kid, you don't know anything and stuff. And that's totally fine if someone is saying that and proud of their accomplishments. But
Right.
I think it's the way he was using it to show off, and like put him above everyone else. 'Cause that's what he was.
That's the difference.
That is everyone else. So
Like you said, we should be proud and we should talk about the things that we do.
Yeah.
But is an energy of arrogance and I am better than because, or is it this conversation?
yeah, especially as adults, though, you see that in kids, teenagers, young adults, but even adults. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, kind of shows how deep the insecurity goes.
Yes, definitely. Well, not all, but it's kind of like small men. They drive trucks. Not all. I know a lot of small men.
Little man syndrome.
Yes, that's what it's called. I know a lot of little men are amazing people, but a lot of the time you see little men driving big trucks because they have to overcompensate for their smallness. So then being in a big truck, they have that arrogance. Anyway. Yeah, I just know little men with big trucks that are narcissists. So
Yeah.
It fits the shoe.
If it fits the shoe, if the shoe fits.
Oh, that's what thank you. Yikes.
I love it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
our next narcissist is the vulnerable. Can narcissists be vulnerable? What does that mean?
They can pretend to be vulnerable. I think that means they use that to get people's sympathy and to get away with a lot of stuff, you know? Oh, I'm so sad and depressed. Not that I'm knocking people that are sad and depressed. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
But if they're sad and depressed, and then when nobody's around, they're walking around whistling a tune, you're not now sad and depressed, right? Unless maybe that's a thing that I miss. Do you whistle when you're sad and depressed?
All the time, you don't? No, I cry. I sob.
Right?
I'm moping.
Yeah. So that's the vulnerable. I'm just going to say from experiences that I have had, and there's so many other ones out there, that's like pretending to be sick because then they don't have to do things. And then everybody gets to sit around and wait on them. I think once you start realizing what's going on and maybe you stop feeding into it and you stop literally doing everything, what can I do to help you feel better? What can I do for you? And you realize they're just kind of using it. You realize they're not that sick.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they can pretend to be vulnerable. Underneath it's that holier than thou. I am smarter than, I know best. If you don't know them, they just kind of look, maybe, I'm going to say shy. They're just kind of a little more quiet and just don't say enough. And I have learned over the years that I have to really watch and pay attention, because sometimes what I think is shy is an arrogance and they're looking down their nose at you.
Yes, I've seen that a lot. I've honestly seen that even with people I don't know. Not saying that I'm judging everyone around me, like, oh, they're a narcissist, but you can tell a lot by body language. Even at the grocery store, you see a dad and mom and kids, and you can see how the husband's talking to the wife.
Yeah.
And then you can just, I don't know, it's pretty easy to pick up on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you can tell.
So how is it with the vulnerable narcissists? How can they pretend to be so vulnerable, but then they also guilt trip you, manipulate you, and give you the silent treatment? But they claim that they're the victim.
Good question.
I don't know if you know. No one knows. That's just what they do. But
I think they just literally have a deck of cards of all different things that they can use, and they just pull one out and use it. I've heard just some of the stuff that I listen to. They are watching you from the very beginning and testing your boundaries, seeing what you'll put up with, seeing what you'll say, seeing what you won't say, seeing what you'll do, seeing what gets a reaction out of you. So if you're not one that's already prone to guilt's not going to work. So they're going to try something else. They don't like the people with confidence and that stand up for themselves. And I'm not meaning that to offend anybody. That's me. I had no confidence. I did not stand up. People pleasers. And then they just keep testing the waters to see, does guilt work? If I'm sick, does that work? If I'm angry, do I get a reaction out of them? Can I threaten them? Can I put them into fear? As you start to learn what's going on and you start to see things differently and react differently, they're going to try something different.
that's so cruel.
They're smart. They're not, I don't think they're just, putting it out there and seeing. They
know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. And it is sick.
It makes me sick knowing that people do that.
Yeah. And we don't want to not trust people, right?
Yeah.
And we want to believe people have good intentions.
Yeah.
I don't think people are bad. I don't think all people are bad.
No.
So how do you not get sucked into it? Self-worth? and setting boundaries. It's not about them. It has to get to the point where it becomes about you. What are you doing? What are you not doing? Where's your value? Why? And asking ourselves those hard questions. Why am I so concerned about an opinion from somebody who treats me like garbage? And why am I putting up with it? And literally having those conversations with yourself and figuring out why. Because we're put here with worth. We don't deserve that.
No.
What are your thoughts on malignant?
Scary, terrifying, stay away. Because according to the textbooks of Google, they're the most dangerous. Physically harming, aggressive, rage, yelling. So they would be overt because they don't care to show all that anger. What do you think?
Yep, they're the most violent. I don't know if this is true or not. I feel like they find joy in hurting people and watching them be in pain.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the malignant narcissists are like your serial killers and stuff. That's actually super interesting to think about also, because that's kind of where they overlap. The serial killers, are very persuasive and charming and good looking, all of those things where people actually might go somewhere with them, might get in a car with them. And most of the ones that break in through the window. Anywho, you can kind of see where they overlap though. But yeah, I tend to wonder if they get pleasure in watching you hurt.
I just had a memory when we were younger, if my mom was crying or something, my brother did not care at all. Sister would be not joyful, but like happy that my mom was sad or crying. And it was just so weird.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, how do you guys not care that our mom is sad or something like that? Anyway, so that was just weird. So I wonder, what is the word for not caring if someone is in pain compared to taking pleasure or having pleasure?
I don't know. Yeah.
Something weird to think about.
It is. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be a big flag for me. I have had times where I didn't cry for a lot of years. Everything was super turned off. I just didn't. I think I was in survival mode. And then a small handful of years ago, I actually started crying again. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, what is this? What the heck? Right? It was kind of weird. And now I can cry. I mean, it flows more freely. Once it started coming, the one that was supposed to be comforting me would literally sit there with their feet up and ignore me or tell me that problem was I didn't cry enough because I was cold-hearted as I'm sitting there crying, which makes zero sense in my head. I remember thinking, you're finding great joy in watching me hurt. And then I started realizing, wow, this has been going on for a really long time. And that's sick.
Or the other side is they can't stand you crying so much that they say, stop crying. So of course we're conditioned to not cry. Even I hate crying. But I mean, look at my dad. My whole life he'd say, stop crying, you're so sensitive. Why are you crying? And then we've talked about this before, but Zach and my first date, when he was crying and I got like icked out because he was crying. So that makes you think like, oh, well, I didn't care. I was uncomfortable. Like, he was crying. So what does that make me? And then kind of trying to go figure that out. I don't know.
And that's what we should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
As we start to question ourselves and question our behavior, it's timing it back, looking at everything going, okay, wow, what in me contributed to me reacting that way to him?
Yeah.
And to be honest about it and, is this right? No. Do I want to be that way? No.
Yeah.
I don't.
Exactly.
So where'd it come from? Oh, wrath. That was told to me. Was that wrong? Yeah, that was wrong.
That whole conversation just happened in my head. Sitting here thinking about that instead that whole thing like, oh, I did that. That sucks. Why did I do that? Oh, my dad. Oh, well, did I want to do that? No. That's wrong. Okay, so what do I do instead?
Look at you.
It was so fast.
Look at you.
And I could hear you talking too, so I wasn't like, looking at you. I was multitasking. I was like, yeah, that's right. Like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. But that's because you helped me learn how to do that. And I honestly didn't think I could do that when you told me how to work through all this stuff. And I was just super overwhelmed. And I just like, I can't do that. I can't work on things in my head. I'm talking out, whatever.
Yeah.
But this is proof it does work.
It does work. And if keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep having those conversations, and the more you have them and the more you're asking questions in your mind, the easier it comes. And you get to where you can go have that conversation in your mind that comes up 20 seconds ago and to be able to go, oh, no, that's not right. No, I don't want to be like that. How do I want to be? I want to be like this. Oh, nice. Clear.
Yeah. Thank you. It was really hard. I didn't think it would at first. I was like, I can't do that. That's hard. So thank you. I'm really proud of myself.
You should be proud of yourself. It does work. And it takes time.
Yes.
You've got to practice.
You told me that a while ago. So,
woohoo. And you stick with it. And before you know it, man, you're kicking through stuff that fast. And from there, it's just great, happy days.
Yeah. Good job. Thanks.
Good job.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh.
You. Thanks to you.
Not really. I don't know much. I just share what I have learned.
And it's helpful.
And I hope that it's helpful. That's my goal. And if it isn't, then swipe it. Delete it. And if it is, great. And if you need help, let me know.
Exactly.
So the next one we're going to talk about is
communal.
Communal. That's a big word.
I know.
Hey, what is that?
Well, the first time I heard it kind of makes me think community. We kind of has that word in there.
Okay.
A little bit. So breaking that down is that they try to get attention for being good, for doing things, for having generosity.
I try to be generous and do things. So what's the difference? What makes me not like your mom?
Are you waving it around saying, oh, I did this. Oh, I did this.
I tell you,
oh, did you do this?
Am I waving it or am I just telling you?
No. And also, I think the other thing is they expect something in return. My mom was definitely like that. And my dad was like that. I remember.
Yeah.
So my dad obviously was a firefighter, so they do a lot of random stuff, actually. But he also knows how to cut down trees and stuff. I guess it makes sense with fires. But anyways, I remember our family friends, they were cleaning down there, like kind of like a creek in the big trees area. And they asked my dad for help, and he helped them, whatever. It was like a full day. It was super fun. Well, fun for them. I didn't help. And then I remember getting home, and then I remember my dad saying, like, oh, they didn't give me anything in return. Like, they didn't, blah, blah, blah. Like, what the heck? I did all that for them and to get nothing. And I remember that sticking out to me. I was like, oh, I just thought it was an act of service. I didn't know we needed to have anything in return. So that is communal, expecting stuff in return. And even my mom, I've seen that with, she's an herbalist. Mm-hmm. So providing all these great things for people, whatever, and then not getting stuff in return. I don't know.
Probably not something that you see unless you're behind closed doors with them.
Yep.
Right? So
I've seen you behind closed doors. I do not ever see you like, oh, I did this for this person. They didn't do this. They didn't do this.
No.
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no. You are not a communal
good.
narcissist. If you were, I'd say, Karen,
we got some problems.
Pass it down.
And you're off my podcast.
Kicking you off.
I'm kicking you off.
No. This is not mine. This is our. You're so funny.
Oh.
But but also, here's one thing I try and think about is that when I do stuff for people, like one of my pet peeves is when I hold a door open for a stranger and they don't say thanks. So is that part of that, or is that just like a pet peeve?
Good question. What do you think?
I don't know. Because my whole life, I try to be generous with people because, I mean, my parents, they taught me good things still. And so I try to, even that's a small act of kindness, but like opening doors. Yeah, it happens a lot. Especially now as a mom too. I'm like, okay, I got my arms full. But I'm going to do this for this person. So why is it that I'm expecting a thank you? Is it just because it's manners, or is it?
It is manners, but the older I get, and the more that I'm trying to learn, I think it comes down to why do we do things for people? Mm-hmm. Do we do it for the reaction, good or bad? And we do it for the recognition, good or bad? So with narcissists, do they do it for recognition? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And are they doing it? Is it conditional? Yeah. And I want to become the type of person that I just do it just because that's who I am and that's it. Mm-hmm. If that person doesn't acknowledge or say thank you or something, I have no thought or opinion because it really doesn't matter because I'm not doing it for that. I'm just doing it because that's just who I want to be. Mm-hmm. And it says more about them than it does about me. And literally to just be able to look at it when they don't. And if some thought comes into my mind, to be able to go, interesting. We don't know what kind of day they're having.
Yeah.
Maybe they had AirPods. Maybe they were never taught manners. That's the thing. There's a lot of people out there that just don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And to be able to literally just leave it at that. They didn't say anything. Interesting. And period.
I think that I've probably just been conditioned.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Even thinking about, so I did a symphony when I was a teenager in high school. It was super fun. And I remember one point I just wanted to stop. It was a lot. every Saturday we'd have like 3-hour rehearsals and down in Brigham. And as a teenager, I wanted to go do fun things.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go to symphony practice for 3 hours long. I remember talking to my parents, like, can I just please stop? I want to take a break, whatever. And they weren't happy about that. And it's fine, whatever. You do that, you go throw away your life. Or volleyball. Sometimes I have volleyball tournaments on Saturdays, but they didn't want me to miss rehearsal. I remember missing out on that, on the tournaments, because my dad was like, oh, fine, go do whatever you're going to do. And they say, like, you're not going to be playing volleyball when you're like 40 years old. You're not doing the important stuff. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in my brain, like, okay, well, if I do that, then I get a bad reaction. So I have to obviously stick to symphony because they praise me for that to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I made a long way about that. But
that makes sense. Yeah.
I think it's just conditioned. I hate that I'm being conditioned to that. Because, like, even this is so small. But I'm driving and say someone's trying to take a turn out and I wait for them and they don't wave. I'm like, oh, that was rude. So it just is so annoying that conditioned.
You've probably seen that because
Yes.
that's probably what they would say.
Yeah.
Now, if you were around somebody more consistently where somebody pulls out and it's just like, oh, no big deal.
That's that.
Come on in. That's how I drive.
Yes.
So it is conditioning.
And my dad had an awful road rage, which I have. I feel like I had been better because of Carson, thankfully.
Yeah.
But still, it's still in there. So I'm just trying to, like, how to detox myself from all this crap.
I think seeing it when it happens, if you hold the door for somebody and they don't say anything, take a breath, and whatever thought goes in or whatever thought you see pass by, just let it continue to pass by. Don't give it any second thought or energy. Literally just let it go. And I mean, you could look at it and even just go, interesting. I wonder what kind of day they're having. Ask another question. The only thing we can control is our mind. That's it.
Because I can't control it. It's hard so fast.
It will get better because you have been where you have been raised in the household that you were raised in. It does. You have been trained that way. I promise it gets better. It's just stick with it and practice.
Yeah.
Just practice. It's just taking a breath before you react. And then decide if you want to react. And you might want to.
I feel like I'm a mean person.
You're not mean.
Because when stuff like that happens, like, oh, fine, I should have done that for you anyway. I'm working on it.
And that's all any of us are doing, right? And once you're seeing it and saying you're working on it, how many people out there is brought to their attention and they're like, scream, it's how I am.
I was like that. I literally said that our first year of marriage. I remember Zach and I, we had a conversation and I was being mean. I was probably birth control. Maybe not. Probably. I was super mean on birth control. And I remember I was making him cry. And I just start crying because I'm laughing so hard. He was like, he's so mean. And I said, oh, I'm sorry you married a bully.
You're not bad.
Oh, I feel bad. That was so
Yes, you don't.
It wasn't funny, but it's funny now to look back at it. Because we laugh about it now.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was so mean.
You just didn't know any different. It's how you were raised. Yay for marrying Zach.
Oh, seriously.
Yay for being open and aware. And yay for working on it.
Yeah.
And you will teach Carson different.
Oh, I hope so. That's my goal.
You absolutely will teach her different. Look at all the different things you've done already and the changes you've made and the just being able to see. It sucks to see.
It does.
It's hard. And then you get to step back and go, crap, I suck.
I know, like, oh, I think a bully ever married. I feel that's a nice one and there's a mean one. I am the mean one.
But you're working on it.
Yes.
And there's a place for that. Because when things go super crappy and I need somebody standing with me, I'm calling on you to stand up against the bullies. Yes. So there's a place for all of us. We all have different strengths. I think that's a great thing, right?
If
we were all running around being bullies, that would be bad. If we were all...
I would be good at it.
But you would be fighting everybody else all the time because right? That doesn't work.
No.
If we were all more just passive and not standing up, that would be bad also. So there's a place for all the different personalities. It's just knowing when to use it and when not. Who's in control here? You are. So you get to say... You say who, you say when, I bet you know that.
You've told us multiple times. Julia Roberts, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Or maybe anywho, yes. So it's just learning so your reactions are controlled not just outbursts, I think.
Which may not always have outbursts, so it makes sense for me to have those.
Yeah, the line been with outbursts.
Yeah, it's not justifying it, but it's following it back to the beginning. So that's...
And when you have that outburst, then what do you do? When he had an outburst, what did he do? Did he come back and say, wow, sweetheart, that was a really bad fathering moment. Sorry, I love you, I see you, and let's talk through this? Or did he sweep it under the rug? Did he ignore you? Did he punish you? Did he blame you? Did he do it again?
All of the above.
Those are really good questions to ask when you're dealing with somebody, to then decide what you're going to do with that relationship and what you're going to do with yourself.
Yes.
So, somatic and psychosomatic. Explain those.
As we already discussed, they all overlap. So, psychosomatic is using pain, ailments, illnesses, even if they're real or fake, to get more attention. And then somatic is unfaithful to partners, needing to be center of attention, and ignores needs. But I feel like every narcissist
one does.
craves all the attention. So that's how they overlap. Like it's like narcissist is at the top, and it's like a dichotomous key where you just break it down like, oh, this to this to this to this to this, because that's what they all are.
Yeah. So do you think that those are levels? Does it go back to our original question? Or is it, I think it's just different.
I don't know.
Different ways that they use to manipulate.
I'm trying to figure out what even the definition of levels of narcissist even means. Does that mean like, oh, this one's intense, like level 1 is not like that, level 2, you know? Or is it like...
Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't.
Because I 100% agree with you. They either are narcissist or they're not.
Yeah, I think it's just how they show up in different ways they use to manipulate to get what they want. Whether it's punishing or ignoring,
Guilt tripping, gaslighting.
Yeah, if they realize they can control people because they're smooth talkers.
The charming Ted Bundy.
Yes,
All serial killers are narcissists.
absolutely.
They don't think they belong in jail. They don't think what they did was wrong.
No, they don't care.
No.
They do not care.
If they do say something, they would say, oh, well, someone told me to do it. So then they blame it. They blame shift. Doesn't matter if they put on a stick or someone else, actually. Yeah. But it's just an interesting thought, which is scary because how many narcissists do we know?
Right? Oh, dear.
I know.
Yeah.
Great. So for our last type of narcissist, it is the cerebral narcissist. So what does that mean?
What does cerebral mean?
I'm thinking brain.
I'm thinking brain too. So I think in some of the research that you have done, I have never actually heard that one before. So I find that super interesting. So one of the things that you had said that kind of stood out to me, which is super interesting, is they don't like to be intimate with their partner, which I find interesting.
So
always,
why don't they?
Because they don't like us. Why don't they like us?
Because they're better than us?
Because they're better than us. Yeah. I have a hard time with that one sticking into my head. I know what that feels like. That was a common thing in different relationships, and I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. They can't connect intimately. I always thought it was maybe like a porn problem.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I'm not the long-haired big boot that you're attracted to. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But after what you had found, it brings a lot of questions to my mind, because I don't know. I don't understand that one.
I feel like it definitely goes hand in hand too, because pornography can be, I say can, because I know some relationships are definitely different and open to that, but it can be such a big problem in marriage.
Absolutely.
So then having both of those two is not...
That's a bad combination.
That's a very bad combination. I was kind of laughing though, like reading that, thinking that they don't want to be intimate with their partner because they're smarter than them, but it's like funny just because, oh, that's weird, because men are horny.
Yes, they are.
Having to get over that horniness that whether they have or don't have, but just because they think they're way smarter than their partner is insane to me.
Is it the idea of I can do this better? Yeah, it is. I can do this better. I know how to do this the right way.
Mm-hmm.
That goes with everything. Not just that part of the relationship. It literally goes across the board.
Because they feel the need to correct everything.
Yep.
I have recently had a lot of OCD showing up for some reason, but I am constantly correcting. And I know it right after. I'm like, oh, crap. But I can't control it because I feel like it has to be one way.
At least you catch it and correct it.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's really hard.
It is hard. We'll talk about that one in Arizona. We'll see if we can dissect that one just a little bit to see if we can find what the root cause is.
Yeah.
Because there's something there. I just don't know what it is. And it probably goes back to childhood somewhere.
You know, I was thinking, like, my mom, yes, she was very clean. Maybe it's my dad. Being really always his way. Has to be his way, and maybe that's it.
Is there anything in there where when we feel like we are out of control and we don't have a say, I feel like sometimes we like compensate and do it more? Just like growing up, is there a reason why that is bigger?
I don't know. I need to think about that. I'll get back to you. I'll keep everyone updated.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's a good question though to ask.
I like that you can see it though. That's the first step, is that once you start to realize and see your stuff, to catch it in that moment. And how quick can you catch it? Sometimes it takes a minute when you're first starting. And how quick, and what do you do with it? How quick can you fix it? Can you, if you are correcting, let's say, Zach, can you catch it quick? And then do you go back and go, wow, I'm not sure why I did that. I value your opinion. And I'm sorry that I corrected you. There's more than one option here, and let's look at your option and let's talk through it and see what the best option is.
Yeah.
Not my option, not your option, the best option. And is that something you can do?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's still, sometimes even to this day, it still is hard for me to apologize to Zach because I am so prideful. But my dad was super stubborn and super prideful, and I can't just blame all this on him because I know I'm working on changing and stuff.
Yeah.
But it just is hard knowing that that's where it stemmed from. I know what the issue is, and then it's so hard for me to work through it, to try to do better.
It's hard because your brain has been wired that way.
Mm-hmm. It is so crucial for children to grow up in a good childhood environment because children are constantly learning and picking up on things. And I feel like I underestimate kids, even babies. You taught Carson this laugh, but I had no idea. Presents the laugh. Should I do the laugh? I don't know if I can do it on purpose. If I just come out, it's like more like growly. It's deeper than that. But she's only one, and you taught her this laugh. It's so funny and so cute. But I was thinking, like, I didn't teach her that. Zach did it. Keenan definitely did it. Like, who the heck? I was like, oh, Karen. And it was so funny because you only had her for one day, and literally the next day she was doing it. What the heck? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
So even just that just shows a lot that children learn and pick up things so fast. And then to be grown up in a toxic, negative household that you don't know is right or wrong in that situation.
Yeah.
Then it really makes or breaks.
It does. And I know with my kids, I knew that it was my job to teach them, and I probably did not teach them the right way. We'll just call it what it is. I had a lot of not great moments. But I would tell them all the time, guys, the world does not revolve around you. Sorry, it doesn't. You are put here to learn and to help others. It's not all about you. And even when they were young, when they would fight or something would happen, I would bring them both together and I made them talk. And talk it out. Sometimes it took a minute, and I would make them say they're sorry. And then at that age, they would hug. As they got older, I didn't hug anymore. As they got older, if they were fighting, I would make them like do a chore together.
So smart. I'm using that one.
Yeah.
Our kids are old.
By the time they were done, it was like, go in, shut the bathroom door, and you guys scrub that from top to bottom and work together and work it out. But they're taught that. If you're not teaching your kids that, and if you're not taught that, and if all you're seeing is, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm great, you suck, I'm attractive, you're not, I'm this great, you're not at all, then there's a good chance you're going to pick up on those same traits. Then you get to work on it as an adult.
Yeah, Zach is great at apologizing. Sometimes it's still hard for him too, but I mean, growing up, whenever my siblings and I fought, we never apologized to each other. I just remember a couple of years ago, I finally apologized to my sister for all the crime that I did. And even then, it was still hard, so.
Yeah.
But with these narcissists, especially the cerebral, they're so egotistical they're so stuck in that they're the smartest person alive.
They don't apologize.
No, and you don't know if I can say this, but I will. And you will never get an apology from a narcissist.
And if you do, beware, because I pretty much guarantee down the road, somewhere along the line, they're going to bring it up again, and you'll realize they really sorry. They're just words.
I guess a genuine
apology.
You won't ever get.
No.
Because then they'll just use that against you. Yeah. Guilt trip you, and I did say sorry. You weren't even blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then actions are a lot of words. So,
yeah. I think there's something to be said about paying attention to how they act versus what they say.
Yep. Just like my mom saying, oh, I love you so much.
Yeah.
But we don't want that in our life. So,
yeah. Well, and we do have to pay attention to what they say also, because it's a rabbit hole. It gets super confusing. If they're saying, I love you, but then they turn around going, actually, picking you apart, it gets super confusing, because they will throw all of it at you at any given time, and you don't realize it till you're in it so deep. And then once you get out, and you haven't had conversations with your parents for a hot minute now you really start to see the smoke starts to clear, and you start to see things a lot differently, and then you get to clean up and fix the mess.
Yeah. And I will say, personally, I don't think calling them out on all the stuff that they're doing is going to help at all. It does.
Heavens to no.
Paints their fire.
They don't care.
And I tried doing that. I honestly did. And obviously it didn't work. And it's just, like you said, a waste of time. You shouldn't be wasting your energy or time on that. Or emotion that's so draining. And I just remember thinking like, oh, why do they not care that they've hurt me? And I feel like she just ignored the text when I would text back saying like, well, you did this, and because you did this, that made me feel this way. And I try to be very careful with how I word things. And it was just like she completely blew over that text and did not even care, and just...
Which made you feel bad, because now you're not getting a response. So you're constantly looking at your phone, waiting for a response. They've got everything they wanted out of you, and they continue to feed off of it because they know you're still worried about it.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is to starve them. And it is with minimal words and as little emotion as possible.
It says a lot more. I remember just goes up to the end before I wasn't going to block them, but it's very short word answers. Don't want to give them anything else. And honestly, I felt more power in myself when I would do that, because I was proud of myself for not reacting and blowing up on them and trying to stick up for myself, because I mean, in that situation, it's not going to work. So
nope. And you just save your energy, you put it into the relationships with people that actually care about you.
This is so off topic, but you know what is something really cool that happened to me? So at my friend's wedding, so it was the bride, her mom. I just absolutely love her. She's such an angel, and she listens to the podcast, and she's just always been so sweet and so kind and so supportive. And when we first started, she was messaging me how amazing stuff this is and how much I just am loved and validated, and like God loves me too. It was amazing to hear. And then at the wedding, she pulled me over to have a little conversation, and she was just telling me how proud and how amazing that I am, and that I am loved, and that she's here for me. And I started sobbing. I could not stop sobbing. And we were at a wedding, so I'm just sitting here. She said for me to sit on her lap so you can have a talk. So I'm sitting on the mother of the bride's lap, just sobbing at a wedding.
That is something you needed.
Yeah.
That motherly, unconditional, hold you on my lap, love you.
Oh, I could not stop.
Didn't see that one coming, did you?
No. Oh my gosh, no. And I was having a great day. I was so happy. Like, that, I'm saying that added to the great day. But no, like, no sadness at all. And I just could not stop.
And what did she do when you were crying?
Oh my gosh, she hugged me.
She just loved you.
Yes.
Where you were at.
Yes. So that was really cool. Honestly, it felt healing in a way that I did not know could happen.
For sure.
Just because it was one small conversation. It just,
but you could feel how genuine she was, which may or may not have been something you've really felt in the past.
Never. My mom did not like hugs. My mom did not like any of that type of stuff. So yeah, it was really sweet.
Well,
so
thank you to her.
If you're watching, Holly, I love you. I don't know, really. No, it just like really helped to know that I know that people love me, and I know that God loves me and stuff. But just hearing that was amazing. I don't know. I don't know the word.
I mean,
yeah.
And when you start to distance yourself from people, it makes room for people who truly love you to show up. When we are stuck in those situations and caught up in their drama and their all of it, that's all we're focusing on. We are running around trying to serve them and please them and not set them off and whatever we're doing, and we don't have the time or the space or the energy for relationships that actually help us become better. So as you start to cut those ties and just distance yourself from those people, great people will show up. And sometimes it takes time, because I know, like, when you and Zach first got married, 98% of your friends, that might be a way off amount, but the majority of the family friends did not come to the wedding. You did not have support there. It was a really great day, but it was super sad for you. And I'm glad we have such a big family.
Yes.
And it was amazing, but it was sad because those people weren't. But fast forward even a year, when we had your baby shower, it was standing room only in this house. I came in here.
Oh, you did?
I didn't know the majority of the people, and it was standing room only. So cool. And I think that year was hard because you didn't know. You were still having issues with your mom and still texting and all of those things. And they started having their own experiences with them and started to see it. And a lot of them showed up going, sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with narcissists. They have very conditional friendships. And so once my parents' friends were starting to figure out for themselves, they kind of like, oh, wait a minute, we need to figure this out for ourselves. And their parents cut them off, like, oh, okay, well, we're not friends anymore. And they've lost a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And seeing that as their kid was weird, because I don't know, I've never experienced that. So seeing that, I was like, oh. And it was honestly sad, because like, oh, I feel bad that they're so lonely, which they don't care. They don't like people anyway. But still, like, I don't want them to die alone. I don't want them to be alone. But also, if they're doing that to themselves, they're trying to.
And eventually, people start to figure it out. Children start to figure it out with parents. Friends start to figure it out with friends. Spouses you start to figure out what's going on. Everybody around starts to just kind of distance themselves, and they end up alone. They may only have 1 or 2 children, if that, or a friend, or, whatever it is, that still will have anything to do with them. And that's on them. They can blame you. They can blame Zach. They can blame me. I don't know who they blame all day long. Okay.
It's just like you always say, the truth always comes out.
It does always come out. If you can just be patient and continue to work on you and show up with the light and the fun and the bubbly that you are, and the truth will always come out in the end. Oh, I love her.
I know. Me too.
Lots of different types. They can kind of mix and mingle, right? At the end of the day, they are all going after the same thing, which are guilt, shame, blame, fear. They have pride, right? They're using all of those emotions to try and get whatever it is out of you that they're looking for. I think they're looking for, I'd heard a thing the other day, and it said it's not validation that they're looking for, because that didn't quite sit right. I'm like, they want us to say how nice they look, right? I'm like, What does that mean? It's not validation that necessarily that they're looking for, it's praise. So they want you to be going, oh, you're so smart. You are the smartest. You are the best. You are the greatest. And if you don't, then they're just feeding off of any sort of emotion that they can get out of you. But all the different types, they show up either loud or quiet, but the underlying game is the same. And so if you can start to recognize inside yourself, okay, what am I feeling? I'm feeling guilt. What am I guilty for? Have I done anything wrong? Was it wrong that I asked for a basic need to be met? No, that's not wrong. Okay. And start asking those questions. Why am I feeling so much shame here? What am I ashamed of? What have I done? And then if it is something you've done, to be able to go, oh, okay, should have showed up different on that one. But then you just kind of ask the questions. Okay. And the question comes back to the questions, questioning them, questioning yourself. What's their intention? What's your intention? At the end of the day, what do they want? At the end of the day, what do you want? What are they showing you consistently? How they feel about you? I think we explain and talk and try to justify and try to help them see. And once we see that they really don't care about us, say less. Starve down. And then start working on yourself. Okay, what am I feeling guilty for? What am I doing? You're so good at doing all that. Just every single day, decide what type of person you want to be and work towards being that way. And if the best you can do someday is literally just not to say anything and just not to react, good job. And with time, all of a sudden one day you're going to go, oh, wow, look, I just bust through those questions and process that super fast. Wow.
Yeah.
And you don't know when it's going to connect. but it will connect. But you've got to be consistent. Find people that can help you and that love you and want what's best for you. And we want to show up and be the same way.
I think another important thing is I know that they know what to say because my mom always said we should want what's best for you. But you need to focus on their actions and their intentions.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to get caught doing those words and love bombing too that we talked about, but just focus on intentions and actions. So yeah.
Yep. I know asking questions is easier said than done. And I think we've talked about this before.
Right.
When you've been told to not say anything or not to question, you forget how to question. And I know that's so super, super silly, but practice asking in your mind a question. And it can be as start and simple, like, I wonder what they meant. Why am I feeling? What is this? And then just pause for a second and see what comes to your mind.
See, that didn't work for me. And I tried. So that's why in the beginning I was like, oh, this isn't going to work for me.
Yeah.
And for me, I had to actually have those physical conversations with you or Zach, or verbal, have those verbal conversations with you or Zach. And I think that is finally what helped me to figure out how they're supposed to go. And then I could take it by myself.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that helps me a lot.
I like that.
That's something that you guys might need to try.
And yeah, I'm gonna make I haven't decided what it looks like yet, but I'm gonna make like a download on our Etsy store of just a bunch of different questions, maybe to help. I know that sounds kind of weird, but that was always helpful for me when I had a bunch written down that I could just randomly read through and just to practice.
That is not weird at all, especially for someone who feels like they might be dealing with a narcissist or who feels like they might be a narcissist. Obviously you're not because you're in there, but then you can go down a checklist because especially me being a very type A person, I love checklists. So it's great. And if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do that. So yeah, that's a great option. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, so find people and ways to help you through the questioning process.
Yes.
We hope that helped and you learned some things.
Like we said in the beginning, we're super grateful for everyone who's still listening. Just following us along our journey. This is really fun. It's scary being this vulnerable, but we're grateful that it's the right time for us to do it. So yeah, you can find us on YouTube and Spotify, and make sure you subscribe to our channels. I still can't believe how their 7th episode.
Wow.
We're almost to 10. That's crazy.
That's so fun.
Anyway, so next week, our 7th episode will be called Why Do We Attract Narcissists? So yeah,
I'm the queen.
I'm just kidding. They don't say you're not queen. It's hard. There's really a lot to share with us, what people need.
I always have a lot to say.
It's great.
Buckle up. It's about to get real.
Buckle up.
I'm Karen.
And I'm Angelique.
The truth may be twisted,
but it's always worth unraveling. See you next week.